Now am I, here am I. Welcome to Psychology 2020. This year is a challenging year for everybody because we have coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, psychology plays an important role here. Welcome and good choice with choosing psychology. And psychology, the School of Psychology can offer you a large range of options to study than any other subject. Psychology is everywhere these days. In particular, for undergraduate psychology degrees, you can do psychology in 3 different pathways. You can do it as Bachelor of Science, because psychology is a science. You can do it as Bachelor of Social Science, because psychology is a social science. And you can also do it as Bachelor of Arts, because psychology is the way of art. In a way we apply it. We have to be creative in applying psychology. So what do we do in psychology? Do research on how we can see movement and objects, on our perception. Some of us doing that. Some train dogs to sniff out drugs, disease, or explosives, to do diagnostic, or to find and differentiate between different drug effects. Study effects of meditation and mindfulness on health and well-being. That is what I am doing. Help children learn and behave better at school. That is what Angelica is doing. Evaluate the impact of programs to reduce family violence. A couple of people are working in that area in our school. Study the effects of head injuries across populations. Then consult with companies about employee work-life balance. That is also an important point. And finally, some of us give people alcohol and then study how it affects their driving ability, of course, in the simulator. We have a broad areas where you can study psychology. And on this slide, you can see only main areas covering neuroscience, working with the brain, how brain functions. That relates to perception, of course, how we perceive our world. Then learning and behavior, which is the key of evolutionary process. Cognition, our process of thinking. Development, starting from birth until we die, at all different stages, what's happened in our brain, what's happened in our body, what's happened with our thoughts and cognitions and emotions. Of course, emotions are critical because they motivate behavior. And we study personality as well. So here we have perception, here we have behavior and learning, and here we have cognition. And cognition actually affects our emotion as well. And we have development. And finally, personality. There are, in a practical sense, in applied way, there are applied areas of psychology. Industrial psychology, of course, doing with all involvements in organizational structures in their function. Social psychology, dealing with people, working in groups. Learning and behavior. Learning and behavior is a wide topic, and it covers, of course, starting from simple organisms, animal behaviors, but it is more important for humans' behavior. Health and well-being, that is relevant to all of us. Community psychology, indigenous psychology, cross-cultural psychology, and of course, clinical psychology. All these are main areas of study in psychology. But of course, these are not the only areas. Psychology covers all areas of our life. We also have some studies in military psychology. We looked at how people behave and function in different environments. in the School of Psychology provides a foundation in psychology focused on applied way. Applied means actually that you make psychology useful for us to function adaptively, to be healthier, to be well, and to be happy. On the first year, when you just start, there are two foundational courses in psychology. Psychology 100A and Psychology 101B. The first one is Brain Behavior and Cognition, is an introductory course which covers a wide range of topics, including research methods. And Psychology 101 has a focus on social psychology, health and well-being. These are two major courses you are taking in the first year. And the second year, you have more courses of psychology, and you can see the research methods that are coming on top. Understanding psychological research, because research is very important for psychology. We want to make sure that what we do in psychology is reliable and valid. So we are not speculating. It is a science, and science needs to provide evidences of everything what we're talking about. So you have also a range of other subjects like behavior psychology and perception, brain and cognition and development, and Maori Ora, social psychology of human flourishing. And the third year, wider range of topics and papers covered in psychology. For example, you have here crime science. Crime science doesn't mean that you will be learning how to commit crime. So you need to make sure that what we study here is actually study motivations and behaviors of other people, not to become professional ourselves. Then we have infant and child development psychology. We have mental health and well-being, and memory and cognition, psychology of measurement. With measurement is very important in psychology. And in psychology, sometimes we measure things you cannot taste, you cannot touch, you cannot see them, something like depression or anxiety or happiness, quality of life. These things are not tangible, but they do exist. And it is a very complex area, which is called psychometric, where you need to deal with this phenomena and assess them reliably. We have, of course, we have research methods. That is, this course is 307, is a gateway for your graduate study. And then we have positive psychology, where we learn to be well and happy in all different circumstances of our life and deal with life challenges as well. We have behavior analysis, which is a bit, Angelica will talk about it later, which is a very complex and very useful discipline in psychology, one of the key areas. And then you have organizational psychology and community culture and diversity. Every year we try to develop new courses or modify existing courses to be up to date with our development as society. This year, for example, many of our colleagues started doing research on coronavirus and its psychological effects on people. In particular, if you think about psychology, psychology is also useful to improve and enhance your immune system, because our immune system apparently impacted by enduring stress levels. And enduring stress levels, that is what we have when we have a major health threat, something like coronavirus these days. And learning psychological mechanisms of stress and dealing with stress, we can learn how to improve immune system. This research we are doing at the school at the moment as well. So, and we hope that there would be additional courses later on that will teach you how to improve your immune system using psychological methods. So now, there are some important terms you need to know. This is, in a way, a dictionary of a student studying at the university. We use the word paper. Paper refers to the course or subject you study. For example, the foundational course, Psychology 100. Paper outline is information about that paper, that contain key events, in particular assessments and assessments requirements, assessment dates, exam dates. And this is very important that you read it carefully and try to structure your assessments already and be ready to submit them in time. Convener refers to a leader of the paper, any of academic staff, usually a lecturer, who is running a paper and organizing it. Usually it takes most of the lectures, but not necessary. We have co-conveners on some papers. They are not lecturing a lot, but they are actively involved in the paper. Lecturer is an academic staff member. All academic staff members in our school are also lecturers. A lecture is a class, and traditionally we had classes of 50 minutes or 2 times 50 minutes, about 2 hours class, and with several hundred students sometimes. But this year, because of coronavirus, we are not giving public lectures we are not giving lectures, open lectures for students in the big lecture theaters to reduce risk. So what we do, we're using recording of the lectures this year. We hope that will change in the future and we'll be able to teach in our large lecture theaters again. Lab refers to laboratory session or tutorial. The difference between lab and tutorial, laboratory involves statistical analysis, as you can imagine, or analyzing data or designing experiments, while tutorial is more theoretical, but also in, working with the small groups. Usually in tutorial or lab, there are about 20 students and a lab instructor or teaching assistant helping them to progress. Unfortunately, in semester B, we have less coronavirus cases in New Zealand. It is considered under control, and we are able to run labs and tutorials with the small groups, and also encourage you to attend those. Teaching assistant is somebody who is helping a convener, paper convener, to run the paper. And this is your first contact in case you need something. You can email teaching assistant and ask about paper administration, about your assignments, ask questions about different procedures, how to apply for extension, for example. Compulsory refers sometimes to assessment, refers to those assessments which you cannot skip. If you fail compulsory assessment, you fail the paper. This is what you need to be aware of. This is very important for your study. Now, this is our psychology places, what you need to be familiar with. Psychology reception on the first block, on the first floor in the K block. This is just around snapshot. We have very nice reception in psychology, and you are welcome to come there. Psychology 100 and 101 lecture theater is below. You can see it's a massive lecture theater. It includes, you can have 300 people in that lecture theater. And we also have a webinar translation to Tauranga. So lecture typically runs simultaneously in Hamilton and in Tauranga. Not this year, unfortunately, but we will probably give you opportunity to watch those lectures online. So you will get an idea what they are. Some important websites for you to study. Moodle is the main platform you will be using to get your study materials, to get information about your study, and to communicate with your paper coordinators, conveners, and teaching assistants. The first one, this is the link for Moodle. Then you have student support services. Student support services developing every year and offering more and more different services. These days there is a Studiosity which started offering proofreading services, which is in particular useful for students coming from overseas who struggle with academic English. Many of my students using, even my graduate students using Studiosity to check their papers and to check their work. My Waikato is a general website of the university where you can find different types of information. Then you have a link to timetable, which is very important again, because you need to know your timetable. And for the labs in particular, and paper outlines. Here, if you click here, you will get your paper outlines straight away and you can read them and become familiar with them. Now, people you should know, start with people. And we start with Professor Vincent Reid, who is our head of the school, on top here. Then we have Vincent is a clinical neuroscientist and also working in developmental psychology. Then we have Professor John Pironi, who is a chair of undergraduate studies. John is working in perception in particular, and perception of movement. That is his main area. Working in a blue science area, what we call, getting high knowledge. Then we have Professor Samuel Charlton, who is also convener for your first course in the first year, Psychology 100. Sim is doing research on traffic and traffic safety. And in particular, he's the one who potentially could give an alcohol to participants and then see how they're driving to assist their driving ability. Of course, on a simulator. And then we have senior teaching assistant for Psych 100 paper, Greer Courtier. So she will be, she is very kind and she will take care of you during your study. We have also Kate Curtis, convener for Psychology 101 that you will be taking in the semester B now. And Kate will run this paper and introduce you psychology from social perspective and from perspective of health and well-being. A very important person for you, Naomi Russell, is a school manager, our new school manager, and she can help you in many different ways, in particular if you consider graduate study, but also moving between courses, also changing papers, changing your administrative settings, moving between schools sometimes. So please be kind to her. And now, these people you also need to know because they take care of research methods in psychology and statistics. And many students struggle with statistics and research methods. But without research methods, understanding research methods properly and measurement and statistics, there is no science, really. Science is based on methods. And if you apply rigorous methods, you will get very robust results. You can apply them and help people with their issues and problems. So my name is Oleg Medvedev. So I convene papers 211, 307, and 539 graduate paper together with Jamie Veal. And we are people who you need to contact in case you struggle with stats and methods. Then I will introduce Tatiana now. Tatiana Milford is Associate Professor in Tauranga, who will be your psychology leader. And Tatiana will introduce himself and tell, I think he'll say a few words about himself. You take a turn.
Good, everyone. Thanks, Oleg. So welcome to psychology. I joined the university in May this year during the lockdown. So I'm really new, but I've been studying psychology for a long time. I had 12 years at Victoria University and now I'm part of Waikato. So if you have any questions about the Tauranga campus, please feel free to contact me and come and have a chat. And I'm looking forward to meeting you online. You know, I'll be teaching the 101 course with Kate, a few lectures. So you're going to get exposed a little bit more with what I do and with me. But if you have any questions, so just come in and contact me. Thanks.
Thank you, Tiziano. Now, I will move to the next slide and introduce you Angelica Anderson, who will be the main person for you if you consider behavior analysis, which is a very important area in psychology. Angelica, please.
Thanks, Oleg. Hi, everybody. And my name is Angelica Anderson. So I'm the convener for PSYCH314, which is a foundational course in behavior analysis. If you're interested in further studies in behavior analysis, such as graduate studies, then PSYCH314 is a prerequisite for all the 500 level papers in behavior analysis. So I'd like to briefly introduce the team. So Teaching 314 is a team effort, and we have a wonderful team this year, and the senior tutor for Psych 314 is Gabe Chand. It's him, sorry about that. So if you have any general inquiries about the course or need help, he's your first port of call, really. Working with Gabe and myself are a team of lab instructors. So our tutorials are in fact labs because we have a strong practical component to this course. And in Hamilton, we have Moana Billett, and our KMSA is Rita Charlton. And in Tauranga, we are fortunate to have Tina Burke helping us. You will meet everybody in the first week, and you will have the opportunity to choose your labs. So we'll break up the group to work on labs. And then any bigger picture questions about the content or the lectures, please contact me directly. I'm very happy to help and talk to you anytime. So, next slide, please, Oleg.
Yeah, you will continue then, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit in general I mean, some of you will have been studying for a semester already, some of you might just beginning. We all want you to have a really good time at university and to benefit maximally. So I think it's useful to dispel some common myths. So for example, I think a lot of people when they first start, they think, oh my goodness, everybody else knows what they are doing, but I'm the only one who does not. Not true. There'll be many people in your situation. Or you might think, oh my goodness, the lectures are so scary, I can't even ask them to help, they'll just think I'm stupid. Not true. There is no such thing as a stupid question for starters. If you use the discussion, so this year everything is going to be different because we won't have lectures in lecture rooms. Whoops. So you can't just put your hand up and ask there, but if you use the discussion facilities on Moodle, you will find that many people have got, if you've got a question, chances are there'll be other people who have the same question. Other myth. I've got the whole day tomorrow, I'll just do a whole assignment, then not a good idea. At this level at university, you will find that most of assignments, most work will really benefit from you doing a first draft, letting it sit there, having another go, and mostly the tasks are too big to just, bowl over and do a good job at it in one go. Oh well, first year doesn't really count anyway. Also, not true. I know that there's this other myth going around that Cs get degrees, and that actually is true. But if you want to proceed to graduate studies in psychology, you will not be able to with a C grade. Generally speaking, psychology at the graduate level is quite competitive and you require a B+ at least. And most people who do psychology want to eventually become registered psychologists. Oh, go on with that. And you just won't be able to if you don't get, pretty good marks. Having said that, if you've done badly on one test, maybe failed a test, that doesn't mean it's all over. Most papers have more than one assessment for you to complete, and you will have opportunity to make up the marks. It's just, keep working. You won't do it if you just cram a few days before the final exam either. For starters, the papers as they progress build on the knowledge that of the previous lecture and so on. And if you don't keep up with your reading and with the coursework, you will soon find that you're lost. So yes, and that takes me to the next point. Yes, do read the textbooks. It's not compulsory as such, but I'll come to that in the next slide. But you really find that you get much more out of the lectures, out of the teaching, if you do all of the reading, including all of the assignments. So the whole idea is we don't want you to just pass the papers. We actually want you to learn all that stuff, right? And you're not all alone here. Even though it may seem like a sea of 1,000 students, but there's lots of ways that the university can help you make connections and lots of assistance. Cool. So university is very different to school because, yes, so we don't make you do things. It really is up to you how much you get out of it. No one will chase you if you don't go to lectures or labs. No one will hunt you down if you don't hand in your assignments. So part of the outcome of university study is actually that you'll learn how to learn in a self-directed way and become self-motivated and learn how to organize your time. You may sometimes feel that you have a lot of time to spare, but actually you don't. And the next slide will show you why that is so. Yeah. So for example, in a 15-point course like Psych 100, you know what that means. A 15-point course means that there's probably 4 hours of lectures and 1 to 2 hours of lab. So that's 12, in 12 weeks, that's 60 hours. But that's really not all the time that makes up a 15-point course. The remaining 90 hours is the time that you need to spend on studying for any one paper to do a good job. So the 90 hours for each paper is the time that you have to somehow organize to get the work done. So that means it's about 6 to 8 hours a week that you need to spend on coursework and studying for the exams and doing assignments. Really, really helpful for you to get organized and structure your week. So here is what your timetable might look like if you just enter the lecture times, right? But as I said, there's actually lots of other stuff that goes into it. And I'd really like to encourage you to get organized and create this weekly schedule for yourself. It'll help you to stay honest, stay on task, get all the work done. It'll also show you that, yes, it's going to be a pretty busy trimester. So, and then phew, teaching recess, great. I can have a break and have a holiday or not do anything. Usually also wrong. Most of the time you'll find that you have lots of things to catch up with, and that's where you might be able to give some of your bigger assignments that quality intensive time. Right, exams. You know, my holidays on the same day as my exams, so often people have a clash. But the thing is, exams, we're actually not going to have exams at the in an exam room in the way that that we used to, without the virus and without the kind of COVID-19 restrictions. However, exam timetables are fixed and prepared a long time in advance. They're not very flexible, so it's not going to be easy for anybody to make accommodations for you if you can't make the exam date. So as Oleg already mentioned, you know, a lot of useful information is in the paper outlines. So I suggest you really read them very carefully and already fix the exam dates, any key dates in your diary right now. Right. So of course there are some, you know, unavoidable situations. It can happen that you cannot, for very genuine, unavoidable reasons, get to the exam. And special consideration is a possibility for extenuating circumstances on the day of the exam. But the reasons for it must be serious and out of your control. So not just a common cold or a little paper cut on your finger. And if you do need to have a special consideration, go and apply online or at the student center. Special consideration also applies to people who have a disability of some kind. So special accommodations are available for those of you for whom that applies too. there's lots of people at the university that can help you apart from your teaching team. And they can help you with your enrollment, with degree planning, general support, anything to do with overseas exchanges, assignment submission and collection, general information and cross credits and so on. So it's important for you to know where to go for all of this help. You might also want to double check that you are indeed fully enrolled. Only when you're fully enrolled will you have access to everything that you need to have access to. Really super important that you have access to Moodle, for example. So if you're not sure, go to the Student Center for confirmation of enrollment and for your ID card. Right. So here's some detailed information about enrollment by 5 p.m. the second Friday of the trimester. So you have 2 weeks to change a paper and get a full refund or a transfer of fees to another paper up to that point. And the 6th Friday of the semester is another kind of a deadline. So 6-week deadline to change papers with no academic penalty, but without a refund of fees. So that means if you do change your mind, if you find it's not the paper you've enrolled in, it's not really what you're after, or it's not what you want, you can exit the paper there without having a comment on your transcript that you failed. Now, of course, if there's compassionate or medical reasons, you can withdraw at any time. So do come and see people at the reception if you need any of that kind of advice. Right. Really important, stay connected. So the main form of communication is email. Make sure that your details are up to date. Make sure that we have your correct email address, like us on Facebook. So the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, University of Waikato, that's where we are, but these days we're also called a division, but probably people still commonly refer to us as the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences.
Now we have questions. I will probably stop sharing the screen because this way we could look at the questions if somebody seen this Uni. I don't see any questions. So actually, if somebody is interested to ask questions, you can type them so we can answer them. But I don't see any. I don't see any charts as well. Yeah. So okay, then we're supposed to finish at this stage if nobody has questions, right? Okay. Thank you very much for participating in this webinar, and we wish you all good study year. Be healthy, happy, and safe. All the best.
We look forward to seeing you in class, online, Moodle, wherever, however that happens this year, but we look forward to meeting you.
I think there is one question. Yeah, thank you. Thank you as well. Thank you for attending that.
And yeah, same for here. Welcome, and you might not have questions now, but if you have any questions, please contact us. Yes. And I look forward to meeting you.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to meeting you in the new year. Bye-bye.